Iceland from Delegate.
Welcome to Zero Hit Points, everybody. It's May 10th. I'm Ryan Miller. He's the man with the 15-second bit in the latest Spawn on Me podcast.
God,
Matt Amberg.
I'm famous.
If you're here because of that.
Yeah, you guys made a decision. You listened to a good show, and then you came here, and...
Thanks for downgrading.
Yeah, no, thanks for...
We're not as just seasoned as those veterans, which I think we might have.
Actually, we're a year
more
older
episodes,
than them, I think. Yeah.
But I'd stand by what I've said.
Yeah, no, I mean, they've got salt and pepper, and they've got cumin, and probably some, like, you gotta always have a little bit of garlic powder in there.
I thought we were the garlic powder. They're like salt and pepper. I think you mispronounced it earlier.
No,
we're just garlic powder. We're garlic salt and garlic powder.
Garlic salt and
maybe.
garlic onion powder is one. I should be onion powder. You could be garlic powder.
So yes, thanks to the Spawn on Me guys.
Yeah, huge thanks, guys.
That was very cool.
We love you. If I was gonna spawn on somebody, it would be me.
If you're gonna spawn at all, spawn on me.
Self-spawn.
We would do ads for them in this show, and then it's just like people. They listen to their show, they come here to check it out. They got ads. They just it's an endless cycle.
It's a loop. I get it. Yeah.
You've tried spawning in video games. No, that's.
Oh, you know what?
Are you tired of salmon spawning? Spawn on me.
See, now here's the thing.
Hellspawn got you down. Spawn on me.
So there you go. My assumption is that they are probably would be happier if we didn't do that, and in fact, it may actually may cause a downturn for their show.
You're right.
Yes.
They could pull advertising.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, they could pull our advertisement.
We do not want to be associated with garlic powder. So if you are new to this show,
Willkommen.
We do things. What do we do?
I don't know. Let's talk about Hellboy for a second.
Did you want to? Okay, that was a question in there. We at the top of the show. We're big movie aficionados here. Big video game aficionados.
And you went to school for movies too, so you have knowledge. We don't talk about. Okay,
no,
you didn't even go to school.
Yeah, no. Okay, hey, if we go back in time, we met and played video games together, and essentially while those were happening, we talked about movies, because why wouldn't we? Talk about me going to school. You're like straight up gifted and talented.
I went to the school of hard knocks.
A thespian in his own right, as you'll soon see.
Yeah, I'm sure. My schooling involved Blockbuster and having no life.
So we ended up talking often and probably had to do a podcast at some point. So, not surprisingly, the beginning of these things, it ends up being a little bit of a movie fest. So...
Don't worry.
What, if any, movies did you watch this past week that you want to talk about?
Don't worry. There are movies that have been seen by people.
There's no pre-show. We just start. I have no idea if he has actually seen anything. Keeps it interesting, keeps it live.
And I oftentimes forget.
Okay, this is the other thing we do. I just start going. And then he remembers, like
3/4 of the way through the show.
Tell you what, even the two movies I saw this week, the one we've already talked about somewhat. I don't know how deep we got into it because you saw it already. That Thing You Do.
Oh man, I love that movie.
So again, I don't know how much we're gonna add to it. Go back and check out that show. It's beautiful.
It's one of them.
I feel like we spent a minute on it, but
probably.
So here's my minute for That Thing You Do. There's not a ton of movies out there, 2.5 hour movies, I guess I should say, that you can just kind of sit down and enjoy the ride, because there isn't a ton of conflict in that movie. There's hints, but there's no like huge things that are just hanging over you for the entire time, or things that the movie kind of turns on super quickly. No, this is just a trip, man. You sit back and they tell you a story, and it's a freaking great story. They lean into the Beatles thing too, because my earliest memories of this movie are like, oh, it was like a Beatles movie, but it wasn't. It was just kind of a fake Beatles movie. That's not even technically that, because they lean into the Beatles, like they exist in that world. Yeah, they're very consciously.
They specifically mention them when they go on one of the radio shows. It said they mention it's not the mop tops from across the seas.
Which I think is brilliant, because then it does kind of put it in that era, because I'm sure this actual story did happen to a ton of other bands, you know, and it's presented so genuinely. No small thanks to Tom Hanks, who's in the movie and behind the camera, but it is. There's just not a whole lot of movies ever where I can sit down for 2.5 hours and just, you know what, just keep telling me the story. Like,
yeah, it's great. And it's like, and it's funny because that's one of those movies where the title song is played, I don't know, 6 times or so, 7 times. And but it never feels overdone. It like they
only do it once in its entirety.
You only see it, actually. Yeah, you only see it I think once in its entirety. But then you get chunks of it and it plays in the background and stuff. Yeah. But they never like. It's funny because it clearly hits the whole one-hit wonder thing, but they do it in the way where like you get the 2.5 hours of knowing the song is now hitting the world, and you're never bothered by it. That song is never annoying in the movie.
No.
And
it seems like it should be, right? Like,
yeah,
somewhat.
yeah, definitely. It absolutely does. And that was one of the things that I mentioned it before that makes that movie work, is that that movie fails hugely, in my opinion, if the music isn't right, if the music doesn't hit, and
Sure.
it does. Like all of the songs that they play feel like they're from that era. They sound like that thing you do. Those lyrics, they are so 50s and 60s. Like it does feel like that, you know. And
perfect.
And and again, I really love it when Giovanni Ribisi is only in movies for like 30 seconds.
Don't we all? Actually, I like Giovanni Ribisi.
I do too, but he's always in movies for like 30 seconds, and then you never see him again.
Fair. Okay, so speaking of the music, though, I've got to ask you then, because watching the credits, I noticed that Tom Hanks is credited as writer on a lot of those. Like he wrote the music even?
Would not shock me in the least, though. That guy is one of those. It's probably something he doesn't talk about. Yeah. You know, it's just a thing. It's
because that's Tom Hanks. He's the best guy in the world. He just doesn't talk about it.
No, yeah, he never does.
That's why.
And then he randomly sends you a letter on a typewritten letter, telling you that, hey, I'm Tom Hanks, and you're all right too.
That's at the top of every Tom Hanks letter. Yeah. You're my favorite person.
You and Rita Wilson.
That's a good movie. Oh man, she's fun in that movie too.
I love her little.
I totally forgot she was in it.
Yeah, her little bit part where she's clearly laying the moves on the drummer. And the drummer's so hammered, and all he cares about is his favorite jazz musician is sitting drinking.
It's a good movie.
Tom Everett Scott, a lot of fun.
So
cool actor.
Anything springing to mind? Have you remembered what you watched yet?
I watched TV shows. I watched a TV show in particular. I started a new program.
Well, no wonder you can't remember.
Yeah, that's totally why.
Is this the one? I think,
I don't know. Into the Badlands?
That is the one.
So I kept seeing it pop up on Netflix, and I kind of heard about it, and I'd read a little bit about this show being a post-apocalyptic kind of martial arts thing, and that's what it is, and it's cool. I hope the show is as good as that first episode, because they introduce you to the whole concept of what's going on, and that there's like factions kind of broke out across the world and across the country, and some people are raised as, I can't remember what they called them. I want to say they're like cutters or clippers. I think they're called clippers, that are basically the best fighters for any given leader of that sect of people. There's a name for the leaders too, and it's not leader. It's not king. It's it's like
literal name is probably King Leader.
King Leader, yeah. King Kevin Leader. Kevin is the middle name.
So is that what's grabbing you? Is the story part? Like what's so cool about it?
Yeah, well, I like the concept that it's this, like, it's post-apocalyptic without it being Mad Max.
But it's well done.
It is really well done. It's so far in that first episode, they're not leaning on that necessarily. They're just building a story with the characters that exist in the world, and I'm hoping that's how they keep going. Make it character driven, let the world kind of fall into place. But the main guy, he wears this red leather jacket and
sure.
He carries a sword around. He's super great. Like he's kind of walking that anti-hero line in the first episode, and it's very obvious that's where they're putting him, that he's the best of the best. And every time these Clipper guys kill somebody or kill bad guys, whatever, they get tattoos. So he's got like kind of like Victor Zsasz, actually, except instead of it being cuts, he's tattooed. His back is like covered in hash marks, and nobody else has even close to that many. So it turns into he was sent off on a mission to get a caravan that was broken down and robbed by some other faction. In the process, he finds one slave, I guess, that lived. They bring the slave back, and then you find out that he's got some weird powers when he bleeds. He sees blood, he bleeds, and then he suddenly goes, like, he blanks and becomes Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's passing out. That happens to everybody.
Yeah, I guess. It's a cool show. I highly recommend you give it a go, see what you think.
I'm very concerned about the fight choreography.
The fight choreography is excellent.
Okay.
Within the first 10 minutes, you get your first big fight. Like it's there it is. He's going to go out and he's fighting right away. You see him and then fighting. And it's great. It's solid choreography. The second we're not talking like he's not Jackie Chan, it's not Ip Man.
No,
but it's really good martial arts choreography. Okay, it's not,
as long as it's good, I'm fine. I'm just that's where I've seen stuff like this break down, is where this is why you don't see a lot of these
Iron
TV
Fist.
shows, I feel like, period, because it's probably not today.
No, I'm saying, no, look, Iron Fist, I'm not getting into whether or not the story, I didn't have a whole lot of issues with the story. I know why people did. None of the arguments about why that show is bad are wrong. I liked it because I can move past it and I don't care. Like a lot of it fit for me. But the problem with that show,
hit points. We can move past if it's bad.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah. Well, but the problem with that show ultimately is that you run into, it is supposed to be a martial arts show. He's supposed to be a martial art, and he's the worst fighter out of the 4 we've seen. Like, and Marvel and even Charlie Cox came directly to Finn Jones's defense on that when he was like, "Look, I played Daredevil. Do you think I'm fighting? No, there's a dude wearing the suit when I am not in the camera. Like, what are you thinking? Should they have done that with him? Well, they can't."
Well, I don't know if we want to get into this because, they could have just made him Asian like everybody kind of wanted.
There's a billion. Yeah, I'm talking about with Finn Jones as the character.
Gotcha. So okay.
The easiest resolution for this would have been, don't do what they did. And if you're going to stick with the casting, put him in his costume.
Everybody wants to see that because they play with. I think it's smart that they play with that because they did the same thing in Daredevil. You saw him in his Frank Miller stuff until the last episode of the season.
Yeah, but that counts. All of Iron Fist. That's the thing. He's just wearing his normal clothes.
Fair. Hey,
check out Into the Badlands for good martial arts fights. Stay away from Iron Fist for not good ones.
I'm gonna check it out eventually.
Do it. Go.
Second movie I watched.
Tell me.
Fate of the Furious.
Oh man, I we don't even have to have that conversation.
Well,
it was really good. Mm-hmm. The stunts were dumb, but it was fine. And Kurt Russell's in it for a minute. I think is Kurt.
He is. Yeah. He's in it. You feel like he's in it because somebody understands that every movie is made better by Kurt Russell. So he's in it for long enough that they're like, okay, he's improved the movie. Let's move.
Moving on.
The thing with Fate of the Furious, I gotta say, even before, is I saw a movie while I was tired again, so I fell asleep a little bit. It was after 10 p.m. What are you gonna do? But this is what
I can't even imagine being awake that late.
Turns out that sleeping in public, not completely dissimilar than watching a Fast and Furious movie. Like people are flying for no reason. Everybody's in their underwear. Vin Diesel's in it,
frequently. Yeah.
But from what I do remember, there's a middle part where a whole lot of hacking goes on. In a Fast and Furious movie, so you kind of know.
You got to have hacking.
You've got the baseline already.
I bet somebody said, "This is a Linux system. I know that," or whatever the Jurassic Park line is.
I'm in. There's lots of being in. They do some cool set pieces with it. Like she's hacking like 100 cars at once.
When you say
to be completely remote controlled, Charlize Theron.
Charlize Theron, okay.
She hacks all these cars to be completely remote controlled, so they're literally driving all over the city and coming out of buildings and stuff like that. That part's cool if completely
inane.
And then it kind of happens that I think, again, a little fuzzy, I think she then hacks a Soviet era submarine.
Oh, good.
So if the one thing that might be more unhackable than all these actual cars that she's making drive.
Something that doesn't even have technology on it.
Then I got over the hump and I was kind of in it for the rest. And the last third of that movie gets it done. Like, it knows what it is. It's people flying through submarines and submarines flying through things and that, and it does it.
So after having seen that, and I mean, I feel like while the Fast and Furious movies are fine, I enjoy them greatly for what they are. Nobody's going to say they're high art.
Somebody will say.
Different kind of high. One of the things I can pretty confidently say or comfortably say for me is that the movies are never about any of the story, really. It's just about watching things explode, and I don't care about the plot.
Nope, still wrong. They're about family.
Oh, they're about family, right? Well, except for this one, which is about I gotta leave my family.
I hate stuff like that. Like, on its face, just immediately like, why is he turned against us? Like, he hasn't.
You always know there's some stupid trigger that they've got to, like, I have to do it.
The reason wasn't as disappointing as it could have been. It's just still that storyline I dislike immediately.
Does it make sense that they're going to do a spinoff with The Rock and Jason Schwartzman? Statham.
Are they really?
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't even need to know that's related to the Fast and Furious too.
You're gonna know.
The Rock and Jason Statham might be the high points, actually. Like, the stuff they do with those characters.
Yeah.
Where they have them butting heads, and then, spoiler, eventually making buddies, you know.
B-U-T-T.
No. Okay, wait, maybe becoming greater friends.
B-U-T-T.
No, still right. Okay. They do a good job. They speaking of fight choreography, they're given kind of competing styles that are handled really well during some of the action scenes. So it's fourth-ish best Fast and Furious movie, which means it's
really so. It's a bigger fan of Tokyo Drift.
It might be Tokyo Drift-esque. I think they're still, like, Tokyo Drift is if anything, maybe transitional Fast and Furious, right?
Yeah,
because that's where they were like, where's this franchise going? I don't know if it has legs. Let's do this thing over here. This is very much in the latter, like, crazy overblown Fast and Furious, but I could see them, you know. And speaking of Tokyo Drift, I stand by my prediction here and now and before and whenever I've said it. Han is coming back. Dude. Next movie after. I'm leaning on next movie, but
I agree.
He's coming back.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love it. He was the best character.
But that's it. That's all I watched this week.
Okay, so we're running long on movies, and I'm sure this is going to get cut out, but if it doesn't, whatever. I'm kind of curious about it. I have made this very clear. I've read all of the BPRD stuff. I've read Hellboy. I've read all of the individual stuff.
Oh, so you do want to talk about this?
I love
I had
Hellboy.
these down as question marks in case you wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I love Hellboy. I love Del Toro's movies. I think they're great flicks. They're not perfect Hellboy adaptations. They're not word for word. They're not even close. You know, they were, and we've talked about this too. That Mignola's thing, Mike Mignola, who created and writes Hellboy. The thing that always stood out to me was in an interview at one point he said that he's not terribly concerned about the legacy of Hellboy, whether it be on screen, whatnot. When it comes to who's putting it there, it's about making sure the character is within, like, it's the spirit of Hellboy.
He's concerned, I would say, but not with a word-to-word recreation, which I don't know.
That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
he understands what makes a good adaptation, and
the thing with the Del Toro movies is they're not very reflective of the comics themselves. They take chunks of them. And there are bits, I think, within the spirit of those characters, they nailed it. There are aspects though that have never been correct. One of the big ones, Hellboy is not quippy. Hellboy does not make wry jokes. He's not that guy.
Which is hilarious given his name is Hellboy.
Right.
Like, his name is as quippy as he ever gets, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and no, 100%.
So tell me if this digs into where the differences kind of have a home. Like the Hellboy movies, even the second one, came out very much when comic book movies were in their infancy. Like there was been none of the Marvel stuff that we're seeing nowadays, where I mean, I guess Marvel being in control has the thing here where they can set a lot of the standards, but back then when they're like, let's make a comic book movie, I felt like they had to bring something else to the table. Like nowadays they can be like, let's make a comic book movie, they make millions of dollars, okay, yeah. Back then they probably had to be like, okay, let's make a comic book movie, but we can do this too, that, you know, turn it into more of a blockbuster or give it more of these hooks so that it could be. And I feel like those movies really do have that.
Those are very much Del Toro's Hellboy. And that's the thing, like,
for sure.
It's kind of that there are, I've seen this, I actually saw this came up a couple of times when this article came out, which is part of the reason I wasn't real thrilled about talking about it, is the backlash against Del Toro right now. Because like every Hellboy fan has come out of the woodwork to now say, oh, finally we're going to get a good Hellboy, because those movies are not Hellboy
I don't even
movies.
want to talk about them.
Definitely. And one of the things that I'm very hopeful for here is you've got Neil Marshall directing. Neil Marshall is a fantastic horror director. Dog Soldiers is amazing. The Descent is fantastic. He did some Game of Thrones episodes. And Mike Mignola is writing the movie with the other screenwriters. So that's a huge, huge part of it. The other thing, they found a good actor, David Harbour. He's got a great face of a stone gargoyle, you know, and that's what Hellboy has to have. You got to you got to have a base to make Hellboy's face.
Sure, no, the Stranger Things dude. For anybody that doesn't recognize his name.
So what I'm hopeful here for is that while the Del Toro flicks, and I love them, they're action movies. The comic books are more like supernatural noir detective stories. So if they go the route and focus on a detective story, could be an amazing movie. Yeah. So
who owns Hellboy? It's not Marvel, is it? It's Dark Horse.
Dark Horse, Valiant? I think. Yeah.
Okay. I'm naming all these.
And I think Dark Horse is owned by DC.
Companies from the 80s that probably don't exist.
No, Dark Horse still exists, and I think they're owned by DC.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah, so there's a reason that's going to be shown under the Dark Horse logo. Though.
Can DC make a grim, dark comic book movie though?
I don't think so.
We'll see.
So. This can be cut out. We don't know.
No.
Did you watch the Wonder Woman trailer? The last one that just like the final one?
No.
Oh,
no, I didn't.
I'm into
Anytime I go through Facebook and it's like, here's the new trailer, and it's freaking 4:3, you know, because they don't want to depend on anybody to turn their phone sideways anymore. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll watch that some other time when I'm not, you know, taking a dump. So, no, I haven't seen it.
I hope that movie's good. But you know what? It's stop. No more movies.
Have you ever played a video game?
Just once. It was called
Talk about them.
22 Seconds. It lasted exactly that long, and I don't want to play it anymore. But before I talk about that,
well, you're giving me a lead into it. You're teasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you like
that? Already gone on longer than the game.
So I picked up a Switch last week. Talked about this, that I briefly played Zelda and Mario Kart Snipper Clips. This week was just Zelda, pretty much. Like
Oh, you're so bummed about it.
Man, I'm so bummed about. Like, I'm bummed that I'm not playing it right now. It's good.
That's
man.
what it is. Okay.
I don't have a ton. There are some things that are bugging me about it for sure.
Oh, really?
But it is still, well, every Zelda game has something that's gonna tweak my nipple.
Yeah. What's
okay? Here we go.
No, that's a feature.
So one of the things that I'm annoyed by.
If you want to hear Matt glow about it, go back a week.
And I still
and probably still loves it.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear about the.
I just hate it now though, so it's dumb. Much like most Zelda games, and this is probably a personal issue, and I think it comes from the fact that I'm kind of stupid. They can be they'll give you a clue, but they'll never explicitly say anything about it, right? So you're given some information by a character, and you kind of have to navigate the world and figure out where you're going. This is common. Zelda has kind of always done this, where you have to figure it out.
Puzzles, I think people call them. I don't know.
Not always. I don't know that they're puzzles so much as they
not even getting that complicated.
Are theories and ideas.
Passing statements by
new modalities of new ways of thinking. In this
somebody's like, buy the fish in the hut, and you're like, what?
What fish?
What now?
What's a hut?
Jeez.
Where am I?
This again?
So, and this also may just be a just because it's new. The game is huge. Like, that game world is freaking gigantic, and
it's got to be the biggest Zelda ever.
It has to be.
Right.
So you kind of you're given an open world, and you've seen it. We talked about it actually, I think, on the show last week, that you can start the game and go right to the end. If you want to, you can do that.
And people have.
And people have. It's speed running is the most important thing in our lifetimes. Because you look, if you're not finishing games within a couple of minutes,
let's dial it back. What do you got?
The problem for me is that you much like Assassin's Creed, to open up the map, guess what you got to go find?
Oh, is there?
And guess what you got to guess what you got to climb? And guess what you got to climb with guardians and things that you can't kill early on, and if you go to the wrong area, guess what? One shot, you're dead. So you can't climb them, and you got to move, and so you got to climb towers.
Like, are you getting levels above the enemy's heads so you can tell real quick that you've gotten to a bad spot, or?
I've been to bad spots. I've gotten out of the bad spots. So much like...
But can you tell immediately that you're like, oh, I shouldn't be here? Or do you have to wait until you've been killed by somebody you couldn't possibly?
No, you can see. I mean, you see the Guardians. The Guardians are kind of huge, and they've got laser beams and stuff. And you're told the first time you see one... Yeah, the first time you see one, you're told, maybe don't fight things that you don't know about.
Okay.
But you'll go, and there are enemy types that'll look exactly like other ones. They'll be a different color or whatever, and so you'll find yourself, oh, those guys are higher level. Never explained which ones are harder. You just kind of have to see them and hit them and go, oh, I can see their health bar. Got it. Fine. Okay. So they did thankfully give you kind of a free out when you do get into those places. Like, so I'll use the paraglider and I'll get somewhere that I should not be. And then you can teleport out. Basically, it's like using the Song of Storms from Ocarina of Time.
Sure.
But it's you just, you have to find shrines and towers to teleport to. So that's that. Because the world's so open, because you can go so far, some of the clues may, they like, I don't know that maybe I'm putting too much into them. And I'm like, oh, it's got to be this way. And so I think, and I go one direction. I'm like, this is going, like, I'm not even in the map anymore. Like, that's seen. So is it over here? Is that possible that I haven't unlocked it and I'm supposed to? I don't know. They don't tell you, like, it's not explicit that when you find a mission that it's going to be in that area.
It sounds to me like somebody got some Dark Souls in your Zelda.
Maybe. And again, maybe I'm just an idiot and I just didn't read it right or something. I don't know. So that's
no. I mean, this is what I've heard about it. What some people have been praising it for is that it does kind of stop holding your hand in some spots, and I mean, people bump up against that. Both of the instances you've shared have to do with the kind of the open world nature of this. So, and I think, I mean, and I'm not saying it's bad. Again, I've only had the game for like 2 weeks, so it's something I'm sure I'll get used to. But it's something that I certainly wasn't expecting that kind of thing, and I don't know why. Dumb. Again, the other thing that's bugging me is the early game again is where this definitely becomes an issue. I think later on it's probably not as big of a deal. It'll rain. And it'll thunder and lightning. Oh, I've heard about this too. Yeah.
Rain, so this is a double-edged sword. The rain thing bugs the piss out of me because it seems like whenever you're trying to climb to high levels in the mountains, it's just going to rain for a long time.
It affects your traversal ability, right?
Yeah, you'll climb a little bit and then you slide down. But every single thing you do is based around stamina. And you use stamina by moving. You use stamina by paragliding. Everything is stamina. You start off with very little. It goes away very quickly. Building it up takes a long time because you have to go get shrines and get spirit orbs, and then you have to have
I've
four
heard
of
that's
them.
The thing you want to dump everything into immediately, like even at the expense of hearts and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding out. So the fact that
I've heard about the raining. Yeah, like I've heard about missions kind of being ruined because you just got to sit there and wait till it's done. Like there's some things you can't do while it rains, and while that sounds like it might kind of be cool and world building once or twice, like I can see
it's super annoying.
The nitty-gritty. Yeah.
The seventh or eighth time when you're sitting there for 10, 15 minutes, and then oh good, the next cycle of weather is coming up, and it's more rain, followed by and again early. This is an early game issue right now. Lightning strikes happen all over the world, and they will hit you if you have metal, swords, shields. So you have to put them away, and you have to use wooden shields and wooden other things, which is fine, except that whole...
I like that. I think that's an awesome touch.
It's a great touch, and it actually is funny because you can take like I took an axe and I pulled the axe out while lightning was going on, and it'll look like it's getting shocked, like you see like a thing telling you are going to be electrocuted. So I threw the axe at the bad guys. A lightning strike hit an explosive barrel and blew them all up, and it was super cool.
That's fantastic.
But the downside is that when you are in those situations and then you put yourself in another situation where you're like, well, I got nothing to do, so I'm just going to go to a different spot. Well, you fly over there, really high level enemies that can kick the crap out of you, and you've got a tree branch.
Hey, I live in California. Let me tell you, it's super easy to get stuff done when it never rains.
Dude, you should get a tree branch.
Yeah. I don't even have to worry about lightning most of the time.
So those are my big complaints right now. I'm still really loving the game. The shrines and the trials that go on in the shrines are a lot of fun to puzzle out. Sometimes you're going to fight enemies. The rest of them maybe had an enemy in it or two.
Flavor enemies.
Yeah. I like the bugle ones. They're totally based around using the magnetism power and the time stopping power and all that. And actually, one of the things I didn't know about this until very recently, and I thought this is actually also very funny. The time stopping power, one of the things that they tell you can do with it, and I just blanked on it, was if you can stop time on something, and you can't do it on people, so it's like you can't do it on creatures, but you can do it on items.
I could do it on people.
Well, I mean, you can. I can't. If you stop time on an item and then hit it with your sword, a little arrow comes out and it tells you where it's going to go. And the harder you hit it, the further it'll go. And you can hit some pretty big things into some pretty awful creatures.
All right.
And cause some pretty funny situations.
I'm liking it.
So there are some amazing mechanics in this game. And they are, when they work, like they are some of the best things out there. There are definitely a couple of other issues. Combat, I like the combat, is fine. I hate that we don't have a roll anymore. Daisy's brought it up 1,000 times to me, and it finally kicked in that there are spots where I really wish I had that, and I don't. And the other thing that is kind of frustrating is the targeting system.
That was going to be my next question. Is it still Z targeting?
Yeah, and it's click, click. Can you go back and forth and click to go one, click to go to the other, click to go back to this one?
I don't know if any game has perfected that yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly.
Because you will get hit from behind. This isn't a thing where they'll sit and wait. They'll attack you at the same time.
Crowd control.
Yeah, there is crowd control. So I really love the game. I figured... with a game that dense, I needed something else that would also kind of like I could just decompress with. So I also picked up Prey, and that's terrifying. I have to tell you,
did that solve? Was that an appropriate decision for what you were looking for?
It was a great decision.
Decompressing with
that game is I'm an hour and a half in, freaking great so far. Just
cool.
Just absolutely. The mimics. Possibly the best and worst enemy I have come across in a game in a long time. Those things.
Speaking of Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. Oh my, man. Are you kidding me? Like, just such a good flick. I love it. Is one of my favorites.
Mimic, in case you're wondering.
Yeah. Not starring Mina Suvari.
Mira Sorvino?
Mira Sorvino is the one. Mina Suvari is not her, though.
Did you say a real person, or did you just...
No, Mina Suvari is a real human. Yes, she's an actor.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yeah, she was in movies. You've probably seen her in the movies. You wouldn't You wouldn't remember. So the mimics in Prey are the things that you've seen in all the adverts where they're kind of like... They look like four-legged spiders or whatever, and they're kind of like the black drippy goo thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
they look like Venoms. That's what I always get.
That's exactly totally. They're
a bunch of Venoms.
They're the symbiotes.
Symbiotes, yeah.
The first time I saw one change from an item in the world into a mimic, I wish I had been recording because I had the biggest grin on my face and I laughed.
Like out of fear or out of like it
no.
cool?
Like it was so cool to see it. Like it was there, and I was like, I don't remember that being there, but maybe it was.
Okay, that's cool.
And then it turned, and it happened, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then there have been numerous times now where I'm going through something, and I think there's a mimic in there, but I'm not sure. And then there is one, and it scares the crap out of me because it's a coffee mug.
That's cool.
It's great, man.
Talk about immediately creating some tension throughout the game.
So I can't give anything away because that first opening hour,
pretty great. Good opener.
Part of it was the I can't wait to see why this is the way it is. Like I can't wait to see why did they do it?
So that's my next question: is story, mystery, like it's building?
Yeah.
Are the thing neurons in your brain just firing nonstop?
Yeah. No, they went. I went. Oh my! This is so cool. And again, it's in the first hour of the game. It might even be less, first 45 minutes or so.
Also, if you're new to the show, Matt loves John Carpenter and Kurt Russell.
I do, and Valium Kilmer. And then the game that I no longer wish to play, but I'm going to keep playing it because it's driving me bananas, is 22 Seconds.
Yeah, so what is this?
Another mobile game by Ketchup. This one... Okay, this
Creators
one...
of Stack, which I don't know if we've actually talked about. We did. But Balls, we've talked about more than anything. Balls.
So this one is another simple 22 seconds, one could say, per game.
I'm sorry. Ball Z.
The sequel to Daisy.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. 22 seconds.
22 seconds. Every game is 22 seconds long. So that's it. It's fast. You have.
I like it already.
You will not like this. This game.
Okay.
This is going to be one of those games that's going to frustrate you, but you're going to want to keep playing it for a little bit. You'll probably I think you'll put 20 minutes into it, and then you'll have a decision about whether or not you're going to play it again.
What is?
So, okay. The simple concept of this is it's all swiping up diagonals. You have a ball and you have a very a narrow pathway, and it moves, and the pathway doesn't move on its own. The pathway has it goes at angles left and right and everything. And there are some moving blocks sometimes in between them, and you're swiping the ball to get up the pathway. This doesn't sound hard or interesting until you realize the balls bounce like crazy. So every time it hits a wall,
Flappy Bird-esque.
Yes, yeah,
but you're not using the accelerometer or anything.
No. You're seriously.
But can you stop before 22 seconds, or does it go to 22 seconds?
No. Because you're trying to go as far as you can go. I mean, you can stop. You can just turn the game off. That's which is.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Can you?
Yeah. So what's driving me bananas about this game is that the world record right now is 1,200 meters. I can consistently get to about 700, 800.
That's right there.
I know. And I really want to know how this guy did it, or girl. I want to know how they did it.
You can be better than all of the 10 people playing this game right now.
Until you play it, and you'll get it. You'll get it in a day. I know this is one of those things. So the game is fine. It's very simple. It's the downside to this one is the ads are way more invasive than any of their other games.
Great.
So cool. And I'm not going to pay for this one. So I'm going to play it for another few days.
And that's been Catch App Corner. Is it Catch App really? It's not Catch Up. It says Catch.
Theirs is Catch App. Catch Ketchapp.
Yeah, okay. They have a zillion games, so stay tuned.
Yeah. And that's it. I'm done talking. And hey, that was a great show.
Was it? What if I add 3 more games to it?
Please do.
So every now and then I'll run through my games on my Xbox One, because anytime something becomes backwards compatible, it'll just pop up like, oh, you own this game. So Pinball FX has been on that list, the 360 version, 360 arcade version. It's an old freaking game.
Yeah, it is.
Been on that list for a bit. I boot it up every now and then because I do actually really like pinball simulators.
They're fun. I can enjoy them also.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like pinball, period. But, you just can't. Where do I do that nowadays? I don't. That's what happens.
Come out here. You come to the 1UP.
Okay.
Not even kidding.
So I have, and this is talk about John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. I like achievements. So you hear me talk about those from time to time because we each have our sickness. Everybody's got their thing. There's 3 on there that I'm missing, I think. Maybe 4. 3 of them I know for sure. Like I've written them off a long time ago. Not going to happen. I don't care. And this is why, because pinball, I have never played, maybe never even understood real well that there are series of things you can do. And maybe this is a new thing. I don't know. I'm used to the tables. When I was growing up, all I ever did was try to stay alive for as long as possible. I knew how to get the multi-ball most places, and I would try and do that.
Sure.
But like as far as these like 3-tier things, see the achievements, the 3 I'm writing off forever are multi-tiered. Like you got to do something that puts something else in motion, then you got to do these 3 things, then this, and then finally you have to hit one thing or you're done. This one that I noticed was achievable more or less. All I had to do was get it to the very top section. It's one of those sectional tables.
Yeah.
And then I have to get it on the top ramp using a third flipper in that top thing. And then I have to, it lights up a light on the bottom. So I get it back down to the bottom. I have to shoot the ball into a hole. None of these are hard. Like none of these are hard ramps except for maybe the very top one.
Sure. And
then that triggers a thing that I have to die because this table, let me tell you, is called the Extreme something. I don't know, Extreme's in the name.
Mountain Dew.
There's skateboards on it. There's bungee jumping on it, and that's what I'm doing here. I have to then die on purpose, and then it activates the bungee jump, and then I have to get it all the way back up to the top and into that first ramp, very top ramp I went up to, and that's it. I get that achievement. So I noticed this one seemed semi-achievable, so I was going for it, and I don't know. I might be developing a new skill here, which we'll have to see if I actually like it. But just having goals on pinball tables is not something I'm taking to naturally.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I know that when I was a kid, we had a pinball table, or we had 2 of them at separate times. One was a Kiss pinball machine that had.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was rad. It had Gene Simmons' head and his tongue was the ramp.
That's amazing.
But you had to like, for as long as I can remember, there have always been tables that are similar in that you could do more than just stay alive. Because I've always had the same mindset as you have. I don't care necessarily about trying to get something to light up. Like if it happens,
it's
cool.
Fun when it happens. Yeah.
Exactly. It's almost a gambling thing. Like I want to play the game. I have fun. I have fun playing it, and if something cool happens, awesome, jackpot. If it doesn't, it's fine. I still enjoy doing that. So I guess it's not like gambling because that's never fun. But
well, no, actually, and you're getting into actual pinball table design, which is another thing I never considered in my life. But that some of those actions are in high risk areas. Like there are bumpers in those places that when you're trying to go for those, it will send them to the hole or the stupid, my least favorite thing of any table ever in the world, maybe that was ever created by Hitler. The things on the side where there's nothing you can do. It just hits the side and it rolls down into the hole from the side, right? It just bypasses everything. You know what I'm talking about? The gutters, for lack of a better word.
I've never played a table that didn't have those, I don't think.
No, they always do. That's the thing. And this is mitigated by owning these things, right? This is where they're to eat money.
Yeah.
So what is your table? I think we've talked about this before too, but that was the other thing that came to mind was what's your table?
I never had one.
You're getting a pinball table.
Yeah,
really?
I mean I always liked pinball, but I never had the Kiss one would probably be it just because I've got a sentimental attachment to it. Like I always liked the Addams Family was probably my favorite one that I played on my own. Popular. That I didn't ever see with my dad. There was a Terminator one that was really good too. A Terminator 2.
The other one I always hear about. T2, right?
Yeah. Everybody has always really liked the Jurassic Park one.
That's my table.
Yeah,
that's it right there.
And that's a great table. Like the T-Rex and everything. It's a great table. I never spent a lot of time with it, so I don't have a lot of familiarity with it, honestly.
So this is the hole I went down after this game. I got that achievement. I was like, oh, cool. Because that was this other stupid thing is that I'm like 30 minutes into it. I'm like, man, I can't even do this. And then like 2 seconds later, like the time I couldn't even trigger the 4th step or whatever it was. The first time I triggered the 4th step, I was able to get it back up the ramp and then back up the second ramp and I got the achievement. It just all at once out of nowhere. Anyways, so this sent me down the hole of, man, I would be fine having one of these games. I like pinball. I like these simulators even. Yeah. And there's some really good ones out there. I want the one that has the Jurassic Park table and nobody freaking does yet from what I can tell.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a licensing issue there.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's part of what I love is some of these, especially there's some apps even on iPad, but they actually had Xbox One versions as well, probably PS4, but that are mostly concerned with just recreations of old tables.
Yeah.
Like the T2 table, the Addams Family, Star Trek, like all those tables are out there. There's a Bally game. There's what starts with a G.
Great.
There's people recreating these tables, but no Jurassic Park.
Gavin Newsom.
Yes. Also.
F. Gary Gray.
That was the pinball, which directed the new Fast and Furious, actually, funny enough.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I like F. Gary Gray.
He did. He knows what he's doing, didn't he? Yeah, he's the one that should be doing it. The Justin Lin, I mean, nailed it too. But
yeah.
Anyways, other game I played was Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. I've just kind of started, but if you liked Wolfenstein, it's doing everything that was done there. Whether or not that story ends up being as good, I don't know. It does seem like it might be a little bit emptier. Like the level I'm in now, I seem to be going through rooms, and I'm doing it. It's a kind of a stealthy level, so I guess it's taking a little bit longer. But I'm hoping there's a little bit more done. But it's good. It's as fun to play as the first one, at least. So
nice.
That's there. And then I played a bit of the Lego Batman story expansion for Lego Dimensions.
That was the movie I watched.
Was it Lego Batman? Really?
It was Batman, there it is. No, see? Batman Forever.
I told you. There it is. Oh, Batman Forever.
Batman Forever.
It wasn't even Lego Batman? Well, shoot.
I still haven't seen Lego
Actually,
Batman.
you know what?
I should watch
You watched Batman Forever. I thought my daughter's going to be into that. I'll watch it this week. We'll get back to it next week.
Good. Let's do it.
Okay. But Lego Batman story add-on for Lego Dimensions, possibly not great. Built into Lego Dimensions, part of the core game was the Lego movie itself. Like there's a Lego movie world. The starter pack comes with Wild Style.
Right, yeah.
And what was striking about it was that all the animation is completely different for those characters and the stories attached in that world or that universe, because those were stop motion movies. They weren't CGI movies.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they used digital means, but I'm pretty sure they prided themselves on being completely
they did
stop motion.
They did actual Lego work. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was striking about those portions of Lego Dimensions from that game is that they were all done in that style. Lego Batman, the movie, is also done in that style. It's a continuation.
Is it?
In
Okay.
the universe from It's done like that. It's the same Batman from the Lego movie.
Yeah. It's Job, right?
Yeah, he does the voice. It's really good. Yeah, Will Arnett. But this addition to Lego Dimensions doesn't do that consistently. Like it looks like they know it's supposed to be like that. And it's definitely different.
Does it feel like they rushed it, or like they were out of budget, like so they did a whole bunch of something?
I mean, that's
and then
one of the
like,
reasons I could see. Maybe I'll wait till I get to the end here, but initially not super great.
Well, you know it is super great. Let's go on to the real part of the show that we don't talk about us. We talk about actual things happening in the video game world.
There's trailers. There's news.
I'm aware.
Injustice 2, we love to lead this with some Injustice 2 news because we like watching trailers about that game. You like that game, period. I like fighting game trailers more than I like fighting games. But
yeah, they're detailing all the functions and like the modes. Well, not all, not everything,
factions.
But yeah. So
quick shot of Black Adam in there. I thought you'd be interested.
I'm glad that they mentioned Black. I also saw Reverse Flash in the background, which is very cool.
I missed that. Nice. Okay.
The things that I don't love is right off the bat, I'm not a huge fan of this whole I don't remember what they call them. They're not factions. They're called
factions.
It's not that. They called it something else.
Factions?
I don't think it's factions though.
Batman Forever.
Guilds. That's it. I'm not a huge fan of the guild thing. The way they're building it out in such a way that you can join a guild, you'll get extra XP. You can do some of the stuff kind of existed in a Mortal Kombat X.
They were factions in Mortal Kombat X. They're called guilds.
Yeah,
same thing.
It's that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. They weren't terribly clear about it.
Yeah, they don't go into great detail on any of this stuff.
It's definitely similar to the faction thing in Mortal Kombat.
And if it's similar to that stuff, that stuff didn't go terribly deep either. That was just kind of a fun little.
It was novel at
skin or
first,
overlay
and then it was
for-
okay, fine, whatever. Anyways,
Yeah, it was nothing I ever participated in after that. Yeah.
I did it like the one I did the faction fights a couple times, stuff that impacted it, but that's kind of the one thing that, and the mobile tie, which
The mobile game looks just like the Mortal Kombat X mobile game.
and and that wasn't very good either. I mean,
I had fun with it for a time, but yeah, it wasn't anything.
The whole purpose of that game is to get the unlockables. That's all. Like, as soon as those are done, because you unlock
the whole
stuff.
purpose of that game is to keep you constantly playing
The injustice. Well,
like, have
okay.
it always in your head.
The whole
you know,
point for me is the skins, because they did this with the first Injustice. They did it with Mortal Kombat. You play.
It's true, actually.
You play the mobile game, do X amount of things, and you get an in-game skin. They said the whole story is in the mobile game. I don't.
What?
Yeah, they said the whole cinematic story is in the mobile game in that trailer.
No way.
Yeah, I watched it twice. Go back and watch it. Maybe I missed.
Are they charging money for that app now?
I don't
Because
think
Mortal Kombat.
so. No. But they're just telling the story.
No way.
You're just getting the story. You're not getting the actual. You're getting crappy gameplay. You're getting tap tap tap. But I don't like that. If they're putting the whole story in there, like, why would you do that? Don't do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would. If that's what they're doing, I will get the app and not buy the game, because that's kind of all I want anyway.
Right. So that's that. Those are the two kind of like meh. I am still up in the air on the gear system, and my main issue with the gear thing is, and this is so stupid, I don't like when they're wearing outfits that aren't the outfits I want to see them in. Like, I want Dr. Fate to wear his blue and gold. I don't want him to look like a fish guy from Atlantis. I don't like when Superman is wearing that weird metal thing around his neck.
Which they put him in all the trailers for this thing.
It.
Yeah,
I don't like Batman wearing
unless it's Dark Knight Returns.
If I can have the bonuses in the game, but have the default skin or a different skin, that's what I want. One thing I am very excited about with this trailer, though, they brought up the multiverse, and the multiverse is essentially the tower from Mortal Kombat X, which is great. They've got different worlds that you can go to that'll have different not multipliers, different modifiers, and they're going to change. They'll have a daily, they'll have a weekly, an hourly, what have you. That's exciting. I spent a lot of time in the tower. You spent a lot of time in the tower.
Yeah, I mean, we knew they were gonna have that mode. It's just it's cool the way they.
It's cool how they're doing
surfaced
it
here.
Yeah, I'm just very happy about it. So that's what came out of that trailer. Now, the second trailer that they came out with is
what issue are you taking? It was a trailer about the first DLC pack called, I think, Fighters Pack or something like that.
Yeah,
but it introduces Red Hood. Character looks awesome. They did a good job with the design.
He looks
There's
cool.
no gameplay in there. It's just a cinematic trailer. But Starfire, not very familiar with, and Sub-Zero.
Hey, Subby!
Wasn't Scorpion
was in
Injustice 1 or something? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. My issue still remains that 2 weeks prior to the release of the game, and you're already talking about your first DLC pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about it.
I guess I just am annoyed by the fact that we're hearing about it so freaking early, and we don't know that the game is going to be tuned right. We don't know anything about how the character is going to work. Then you're going to introduce. It's just
the world we live in.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I wish NetherRealm would at least go out of their way to introduce new characters the way Capcom does. You know, like, hey, here's Ed.
If NetherRealm does an Ed for Injustice, like they would do
Ed Boon,
like Tom Cavanaugh or something like that. It would be ridiculous.
Matthew McConaughey just standing there. All right.
Yeah, Street Fighter V. There's a new character trailer for Ed, which I'm not familiar. We're far less familiar with. Is this a new character? Is he coming back from somewhere? It's Ed.
Hey,
it's Ed.
You guys see Ed?
Check him out.
Yeah, he's over there. Hey, Ed.
Man, I mean, it's an unfair comparison because I'm not as up on even just the Capcom universe. Like, we can see a trailer from Injustice and be like, there's history there.
Right.
We got opinions. I just don't have the background on this stuff, so it looks as pretty as Street Fighter V does. But I mean,
and yeah, I
okay. Well, Ed. I don't know if this one's gonna make anything better. Quake Champions. the Ranger, which I guess is essentially the Quake guy. Is that pretty much who we're looking at now? Okay. That trailer came out as well. And we've also talked about this game
trailer reveals are not good. They're
they're
not
also
they're not great character reveals, I should say.
Convinced on the game either.
And I have a beta invite, and I still haven't played it.
It's a large question mark because it seems to be trying to do a little Overwatch, and I don't know if that's a good idea for anybody but Overwatch still.
And this goes back to, again, my thing with Quake is that Quake was never, to me, Quake and even UT were never about the characters.
Right.
It was about the guns. It was about the movement.
Different, which
it's fine.
I mean, it's in a way it's fine. Maybe they're kind of reading the landscape, like this is where shooters are now. It's probably smart in a way, assuming it's done well enough.
Yeah.
They are, and again, we've talked about this too much, but they look to be taking the right steps in a lot of right directions as far as the history of Quake goes. Anyways, like the gameplay, at least the
gameplay,
the
gameplay, I think.
And this guy especially, some of his abilities are like, I think he takes less rocket damage, so they show him rocking, jumping everywhere. It's a trait of his. He's got a slip gate, kind of like Sombra's thing, where he's throwing his transporter thing, and then while it's moving across the screen, he can transport to it. Which unknown if you can telefrag somebody like that.
I'm sure you can.
Could be
but
okay, I hope so.
It also does explode if you don't teleport to it. So you just let it go. If you let it go and sit for a while, it'll blow up.
Smart move.
I'm coming to. I was having a crisis of conscience actually, and maybe this is a good time to talk about this. I don't know. You can cut this out.
Probably not.
Very recently, I was sitting down to play Overwatch, and I love Overwatch. Nothing is going to change the fact I enjoy that game. That is a fun game to play. There was a point in my life when I was pretty good at FPSs. I played them regularly. I could play Quake. I could hang. I wasn't great. I was never a top of the leaderboard guy with any of those games. Never with Quake, never with Unreal. But I could play. I was usually middle of the pack. It was fine. As I'm getting older, the whole lack of reflexes and the fact that I'm doing other things and not practicing as much or spending time playing, I should say.
Literally doing other things. You're like trying to play balls while you're playing Overwatch.
Yeah. I mean, among other things.
The game.
I don't know that these and this going back with Overwatch too. Like, I want to play competitive. I do. I really, really want to play it. I have a certain
je ne sais quoi.
No. it's
denouement.
No, it's that thing that you
Soufflé.
have, and I can't think of what they're called. Like when you're like, I'll do it, but it has to be this good. Standards.
Oh, a boost.
Sorry.
That's what they are.
Yeah. I have certain standards of where I feel where I want to be when playing, like the comfort level that I have with the various characters and my skill level in general. And I have, for the entirety of Overwatch, I'm realizing now I don't know that I'll ever get to that point, which is why I've been so in and out with competitive. I haven't spent I'll do my placements, and I'm not bothered by where I get placed necessarily, because that's not like it is what it is. Like I said, I'm never top tier. I'm always going to be somewhere in the middle, or I always was. And when we talk about Quake was a game that is faster, stronger, quicker than Overwatch. Yeah. I don't know that regardless of how good the game is, I'm going to play this game.
And this is where me and you come apart, I think, more often than not.
We always
you understand what these games are kind of for in this way. Like, they're trying to curate a base that they hope will stick around, and you are very much coming at the games from that perspective. Like, am I going to invest? Am I going to be a Quake player? Am I going to be an Overwatch player? Whereas I'm like, could not be further from what I want. Like, I'll play Overwatch. I touched competitive once with you, and will whenever you invite me, but very much not invested in taking the game that seriously. Or letting people down that are taking the game that seriously.
And that's actually a legitimate huge chunk of it for me.
Well, and that's, I mean, yeah, that it's expectations, like both the ones we place on ourselves and what we place on the game, and I just want to sit down and have fun. That like, yeah, Overwatch is one of my top games of all time. And I still want to get in and play it, but I go in, I try to, I'm always doing quick play or something stupid like that. We've had a lot of fun with Mystery Heroes, and I'm trying to just have fun with the game. I'm trying, again, against maybe what a lot of people that are making these games want me to be, although I feel like Blizzard's probably happy with it. More so than Quake or so, but I can understand why we don't hold out a lot of hope for Quake, maybe in that way. I mean, I don't even have a PC, so I'm not playing that thing possibly forever. But
yeah.
I don't blame you. It's fine. You can not play a game. We can still be friends.
Okay, I was worried.
Hey, I tell you what, if you want to play that game, the beta that's closed at the moment is going completely public on Friday, so you can feel doubly bad about, or half as bad, I don't know, depending on which way you go.
No, if you want to feel
for not playing that game.
Yeah, if you want to feel doubly bad about yourself, watch Apocalypse Now. No.
That's good. We're also good at segues.
Yeah, those are zerosegues.org.
I hesitated. Apocalypse Now is this video game that we talked about because there's a Kickstarter for it. They had Francis Ford Coppola in it. They seem to be doing a lot of things right and understand a lot of things. So we, being the movie buffs that we are, we're kind of interested. I've hesitated to follow it super closely or even just report on what's going on over and over, even though we did kind of talk about it already. Yeah. But they did a new trailer, and then I watched the trailer, and then I said, we should probably mention this trailer.
It's no gameplay really. It's just cinematic.
Well,
but
some of that looked in engine.
It looked in it. Yeah, some of it did look in engine. But man, if that game can hold on to even half of what they're trying to get across with the emotional aspect and the real that story, that the Kurt story, that could be a seriously landmark game.
Right?
That could be huge.
If they can deliver on that trailer.
Yeah, it could be nuts.
They seem to know what's up. Very hopeful.
I am very hopeful. I am also very cautiously optimistic, but the cautiousness comes from the fact that this is a game and a story that the way they explained it, we mentioned this. I specifically mentioned this actually. This could very well go in the direction of a Far Cry game, which isn't a bad thing. But that's not Apocalypse Now.
No, yeah, give me something special. Give me something that looks like you understand the subject matter. Talk about adaptations. Show me that you understand what makes a good adaptation. Because rubber meets the road, gameplay, this could all just go to. It wouldn't be the first time we got burned by a trailer.
No,
the trailers say next to nothing about getting into the game. But yeah, I figured we should put it in for them.
Got it.
A couple quickies. Get this. Footage from an unreleased Sonic game called Sonic Extreme, which basically looks like Sonic meets Tony Hawk, was developed somewhere around the 2000s and did not come out.
Sure.
Somebody came to somebody with an idea for a Sonic game, and that other somebody said, no, let's not make the Sonic game.
No.
But you know what? Hey, I mean, it wasn't released. Might possibly be the best Sonic game in years. For that reason. It's fun to rag on Sonic. That's all. It's just fun. It's still fun.
Okay.
Do you remember when Mojang, what is it?
Swedish team?
Were making some game. Was it just Scrolls?
Then they got in trouble from Bethesda for calling it Scrolls because it's like Elder Scrolls.
Bethesda had a problem because it said Scrolls. So they sued them? Did they end up? I feel like they actually ended up in court for that one.
I think there may have been there was at least lawyers talked. I don't know that it went to court.
I don't
maybe
know.
It did.
But he changed the name, right? Scrolls never came out or something either, did it?
I don't know. We're not.
Cool.
Look,
we look stuff up. Tell you what's happening again. There's a game out there called Prey of the Gods, spelled Prey. So Bethesda wants them to change their name.
Bethesda...
Again.
Here's the thing. They are not confusing anybody.
So freaking dumb.
I hate this, man.
It's unbelievably dumb. Yeah, no, we can't talk about it. This is dumb.
It's one of those
Nobody
things
is making that, or maybe they are. Tell you what, guys, everybody, you buy a Bethesda game, Bethesda's pretty worried that you're pretty dumb. That's, I think, what we need to take away from this. Or only other possible solution. Bethesda believes there's a small contingent or a large contingent of people that at some point in the future are going to say, man, I need to go buy a game with the word pray in it. Like, that's their only requirement, is that it has the word pray. They need to buy a game. What's it going to be? There's two.
This one's got more words, so it's probably better.
They can keep their logo, which is a lady praying that looks like an E. But anywhere it's written, they have to spell it Praey.
Yeah, the A connected to the E thing.
Yeah, whatever that deal is.
I don't know what the deal is with that. It's probably Greek.
No, who made that up? It's
or Roman
Cyrillic.
or
Stupid.
Freaking Cyrillia.
Learn to spell. Get some tracking in your font, right?
Yeah, get some tracking in your. Okay, let's end this on a positive note. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds made a ton of money when it was released. It's been a huge hit on Twitch. It's got
or will when it gets released.
Well,
it's still in early access
because it's early access. So it was early accessed into a ton of like $11 million, tons of money. And one of the things in the game is you do get to run around. You can collect things, and there are certain items that you can bring out of the game, like clothing and stuff. So they're going to introduce crates, and they're going to introduce skins, and that is standard for every game that exists right now, right? The positive here that I love about this is they flat out said, we're not doing this till we're out of early access, till we're an actual game. This is awesome because too many games are doing this where you can get crates and you can get skins and you can get all sorts of stuff in early access. And it's...
They've also said they're anti-gambling, so they're not going to release anything that's...
And I'm a huge fan. I like that they're focusing on, let's make the game the best thing we can make it now, and then we'll work on the other part. So that's awesome. The other aspect the other piece of this that's kind of novel, I don't know how awesome it is, but it's cool, is that they announced that it's coming to Xbox One for sure.
Dude, we mentioned Matt plays PC games.
I do play some PC games. I play Xbox. Whatever.
I'm excited it's coming to consoles. Like, I've been kind of interested in this game. It's another genre altogether that I'm pretty unfamiliar with.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm
totally
happy to see it come to consoles. I could see myself checking that out.
Oh yeah. My reticence for a console version of this strictly just comes from the fact that you're taking a game that was and a genre that was built for PC, moving it to consoles.
True.
And
you make a perfect point. Has anybody done it with this genre yet? Like, what? If I'm
no,
going to play...
because the only real games that exist in this genre that I can think of off the top of my head that have any real like go for them is
H1Z1,
Daisy, H1Z1, and this. And I mean, H1Z1 is on the PS4, so I guess that's there.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a Sony game, so I don't know if that. I think the standalone thing that was like the Battle Royale stuff is there. I don't know though.
We don't know.
Heezy wasn't a game I cared too much about. So
if you take away anything from this show, we don't know.
It doesn't matter what it is because it's time for the lightning round.
Yeah, it is. Hey, so there's plenty of things we don't talk about, believe it or not. But we want to mention them in a flippant and inconsequential manner. So we do the lightning round where one of us says things and then the other person says things. It's like the rest of the show. None of it makes sense.
Yeah. 30 seconds on the clock.
There's absolutely no time on the clock. When I do it, there's time on the clock because Matt puts time on the clock. I refuse to put time on the clock for Matt. Are you ready?
Does it matter?
Swery has announced there's a Deadly Premonition board game in the works.
Kind of had a feeling there would be.
The Mario 64 speed run record has officially been broken by a full 8 seconds.
And a huge congratulations to Luke Perry.
Good enough. Hey, so games are coming out. We should at least mention them tomorrow. Believe it or not, Minecraft. It's coming out.
I can't believe it.
Can you get it? It's a small little game. It's blocks.
No,
you'll like
that
it.
Doesn't sound good.
Nintendo Switch. Next Tuesday on the 16th is the big day, though. So there's this thing just announced even this week. Call of Duty Zombies Chronicles for Black Ops 3. I guess it's some Black Ops 3 DLC. It's like a greatest hits.
Yeah.
Got some zombie maps in there.
Yeah. Zombies.
Farpoint's coming out, which is that PSVR game I tried to play real hard at PAX and didn't.
Right.
I'm interested to hear about that, actually. And Injustice 2, Matthew.
Day one.
If you haven't been to the site, 0HITPOINTS.com, check it out. The latest stream is up. We tried to play Star Wars, did not play Star Wars. On May the 4th, the Rocket League was with us. Also, I don't even know if Matt knows this, but there have been small tweaks to the site, some restructuring. Give it a look. We're trying to focus down on important things. And we have some things on the horizon that we may have stretched ourselves too thin, believe it or not, if you've seen either one of us.
Yeah, shocker.
We're always working. Again, any new listeners, thanks for hanging out. Drop us a line, Twitter, Facebook.
Hey, you know what we should stream tomorrow night? I know what we should stream tomorrow night.
Oh, at 7 p.m. PST?
That's right. On Twitch TV /0HITPOINTS. We should stream some Hot Wheels.
Oh, all right. That's the Forza Horizon 3 Hot Wheels expansion? Or you're talking about the tiny racers on GTA? I don't know. Which one.
Either way, I'm good.
Oh. Okay. We're going to play some games this week. We'll talk about it next week. You'll see.
Yo, you'll see.